Coming up, the tourism minister speaks out on the controversial union between the delicate Bimini ecosystem and resort development there.
Also ahead, the national security minister clears up a mix-up.
And preseason action heats up well ahead of the season opener. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Kendino Knowles. Well, there are a lot of layers surrounding the resort's World Bimini development, and one of them has to do with the query surrounding an environmental impact assessment amidst plans for a marina.
Well, tonight, Janaea Noel Ferguson tells us that the Minister of Tourism answered some of the questions that have been the source of anxiety for environmental groups.
Said about the environmental impact Genting Resorts World will have on the island of Bimini. However, resort officials say their expansion will be environmentally friendly. Now, while they claim the additional work has been approved in principle, Tourism Minister the Honorable Obi Wilshcombe cleared the air on the matter.
Nothing's been approved yet, insofar as the jetty is concerned. The proposals are into BEST, and they're looking at them right now. Once they've completed and they make the recommendations, we'll take a look at it. We have approved the additional airlift, and we have approved the temporary usage of the docking for the cruise vessel for the ferry, and we've also agreed to the building of a 300-room hotel. But all the other stuff are still up for discussion, including the jetty.
In a recent press release, resort officials suggest that the construction design of the proposed jetty will have the least impact on the environment, and they await the actual permit, which they anticipate will be granted soon. But Minister Wilshcombe says environmental studies on the island in relation to the project are currently being conducted, and only then will they be sent over to Cabinet for approval. If this goes through Cabinet and you see it is an environmental concern, but this is what the developers want, what happens?
No, you have to have a discussion, and you find ways to work things. Everything has a possibility. Environmentalists, they complain about a lot of things, but as a government, we have to think about what's going to move forward and what has to happen. So we get to sit and talk about it, but you sit down around a table and talk. What I find often is that we have so much debate and there's been no discussion. Wait until the approvals are given, wait until we sit down, have a good discussion about it, and then let's see how both sides can work.
Now, Wilshcombe assures that all concerns regarding the project will be addressed, and at the end of the day, the best interests of the country will be a priority.
There's nothing unusual about proposals, and the government having to take a look, and upon taking a look at the proposals, we then must sit and talk with the authorities. The truth is, I think the debate is just a little bit ahead of itself, as opposed to sitting down first and having the discussion.
Janaea Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage says he misspoke when he quoted a $5 million cost for the gambling referendum of January 28th. Dr. Nottage, whose portfolio covers elections, said the poll cost $1.5 million and that he was in error when he quoted that figure that was nearly 5 times as much. The government drew criticism from the opposition over what was thought to be an over-budget poll. Here's Dr. Nottage on the blunder.
Let me say that last Thursday, when questioned about the cost of holding the national referendum, I inadvertently gave the figure of $5 million. Almost immediately, told the reporters who were from the Broadcasting Corporation, the Cable TV 12, and Nassau Guardian that I was uncertain about the actual amount. Nevertheless, the figure was published in the Nassau Guardian in its Friday the 4th edition. As a result, in a note that I wrote to the author of the article and to his superiors on another matter, I pointed out that I thought it was unfair for them to have used that figure. I note that today, several newspapers, including the Nassau Guardian and others, who had no personnel present at the interview, have also carried a story using the same figure. I wish to point out that I am now in possession of the exact figures which had been provided for me by the Parliamentary Registration Department. The actual figure spent was $1,238,092.95. I wish to say that I regret any misunderstanding that I may have created.
Meantime, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts is responding to Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis's concern about the management of public finances and his suggestion that the Prime Minister, who is also the Minister of Finance, should resign from that post. In a statement released today, the PLP chair questioned who was at the wheel when Dr. Minnis and his cabinet colleagues reported a figure on the national debt which contradicted central bank figures to the tune of $500 million. Mr. Roberts noted it was current Prime Minister Christie who alerted the public to this discrepancy. Further, Chairman Roberts indicated that Dr. Minnis reported the newly constructed critical care unit at the Princess Margaret Hospital would cost about $70 million, but the public now knows this structure to cost taxpayers twice that amount, thanks again to the current Minister of Finance.
The government is set to sign an agreement with the Dominican Republic which seeks to curb poaching among Dominican fishermen in Bahamian waters.
Well, in a few weeks, Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, the Honorable Alfred Gray, says the government hopes to sign the draft agreement now under review by the government of the Dominican Republic.
I'm told that there is still pockets of poaching in the Bahamas by the Dominican fishermen. We do not have many arrests, and so I don't have the hard facts. But fishermen have reported to me that there have been sightings.
Now, to make patrolling our borders a whole lot easier for Defense Force officers, the government recently signed a contract with a European company for 9 new Defense Force vessels, which Minister Gray says should be commissioned early next year.
When these boats were to come on stream, as it were, I believe the Bahamas Defense Force will do what they need to do to prevent, as much as possible, any poaching in our waters. But because of the limited resources which they have available, there is a problem in policing the entirety of the Bahamas, and it has nothing to do with the Defense Force. It has to do with the government not having provided the boats that are required, and that is 5-6 years ago. These boats were not in operation.
Well, today marked the second day of a PTA-launched sit-out at the Crooked Island All-Age School. The head of the Parent Teachers Association on Friday encouraged parents to keep the 50 students at home to protest the conditions at the makeshift school facility. Hurricane Sandy and a fire damaged the original school building and forced students to relocate. But even though $200,000 in repairs at the school are complete, no one has moved in, and that has parents asking why. Here's Member of Parliament V. Alfred Gray.
Just after 9 this morning, spoken to the administrator who visited the school and told me that the children have reported to school today. I still don't know why they did not report to school last week. Hopefully I will find out the reason behind that. But I was told that the PTA had something to do with it. And the difficulty I have with that is that the Parent Teachers Association is headed by a lady who have no children in school. I have a problem with that.
A parent who allegedly assaulted a teacher last week on the campus of the Anatole Rogers High School appeared in court today for arraignment. Angela Smith of Marshall Road allegedly shoved Aaron Swain, last Tuesday in an argument over the transfer of Smith's autistic child from the Anatole Rogers High School. Now she's facing an assault charge. Smith pleaded not guilty to the charge and was granted $3,000 bail with one surety. The matter was adjourned to December 11th. Smith was represented by attorney Jalika Thompson. After court, Smith jumped into a waiting car after being whisked away from court through a back exit in a bid to evade waiting cameras. A Jamaican woman is facing 3 charges linked to human trafficking.
The matter was presented to the Magistrates Court by Director of Public Prosecutions Vinette Graham-Allen and 3 other attorneys today.
Jiminy DeSwain was in court and fills us in on the very serious charges leveled against the accused mother of 2.
Jamaican national 23-year-old Apollonia McLean Smith faced several offenses connected to human trafficking when she appeared before Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. It's alleged that the mother of 2 between May 1st and May 27, 2013, received a female from Jamaica for the purposes of trafficking. Between June 1st to July 1st, 2013, it's alleged that McLean Smith unlawfully withheld the victim's identification papers, namely a Jamaican passport. It's further alleged that she trafficked the victim for the purposes of prostitution. McLean Smith denied all of the allegations. Director of Public Prosecutions Vinette Graham-Allen objected to bail, even though she pointed out that the accused has no convictions in this country. Graham-Allen argued that McLean Smith was unemployed and that as a Jamaican national, she was considered a flight risk. She is married to a Bahamian and has a spousal permit. McLean Smith's attorney, Tonic Lewis, countered that her client's spousal permit did not expire until 2016. She maintained that her client was not a flight risk and certain conditions could be attached to ensure that she made all court appearances, and that the accused would not interfere with the victim or witnesses who her attorney claimed were in protective police custody. To that, Graham-Allen said the charges McLean Smith faced were not only very serious in the Bahamas, but the world frowned upon those type of offenses being committed. She maintained that McLean Smith was a flight risk.
McLean Smith sobbed uncontrollably after she learned that she would be denied bail and remanded to Her Majesty's prison.
5 days have been set aside for the trial, 2 in November, 2 in December, and 1 next January. Jiminy DeSwain, ZNS Network News.
2 of 3 men connected to that nearly $500,000 drug haul in Bimini appeared in court today. 26-year-old Andero Leon Clark of North Bimini and 19-year-old Kari Javon Shea of South Bimini. They were both charged with conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs and possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply. The men are charged with possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply and conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs. Well, Justice Roy Jones is expected to sum up the case for murder accused Ginaldo Farrington when the matter resumes on Tuesday. Both the defense and prosecution wrapped up their closing arguments, with each working to sway the jurors in their favor. Farrington is accused of the murder of banker Stephen Sherman last year. He's also accused of conspiracy to commit murder and 2 counts of armed robbery. The prosecution alleged that banker Sherman was executed last year outside his home. Farrington denies all the charges.
In our first look at weather, we're taking a look at 2 areas of low pressure. The first one is midway between Puerto Rico and Bermuda. It has about a 10% chance of developing. The second one is in the far eastern Atlantic, just off the African coast. That one shows about a 30% chance of developing over the next 48 hours. But outside of our studios, we have partly cloudy skies, temperature 84 degrees, your relative humidity 75%. Winds out of the north at 3 knots, your barometric pressure 1,011.9 millibars. That's 29.88 inches, and it is steady. But stay tuned. Temperatures around the Family Violence, travel and boating forecast is still to come.
Well, coming up, Sister wants you to be a helper and get rid of breast cancer. Find out how, coming up.
Plus, the Shockers and the Stingers hit the floor as the Night League preseason takes shape. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Lux Men's Warehouse.